Oh my days.
We're back.
Awesome.
We
skills.
are back. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And they can't even see the fact that it's on a bum.
Ah,
Great. Oh.
Audio
No, you can
is
slightly.
exquisite.
What do you
Well
mean?
done,
what
Alex.
do you mean, Alex? What do you mean?
Have you
Don't say
bacon?
Okay, we're back. Sorry, technical malfunction. Just a slight technical issue. When you're live, that's what happens, right?
Absolutely.
When you're live, that's what happens.
Absolutely.
So, Nicola, you were saying. So tell us what you've got some stuff that's led you to today. How do you manage yourself on days like today? I know today's a good day, but you know the whole theme of today is it can be difficult for a lot of people. What's your thinking around how you manage yourself? What advice do you give to your clients around managing themselves?
I love that as a question, and it actually reminds me of something that Alex said last year. I was lucky enough to be in this position last year, although virtual. It's really lovely to be in the room today. So, Alex said the wording, that it's no accident, that there's a difference between having some of that consistency and not having it. And he'd interviewed you, I think, earlier in the day, and several other people, and that really stuck with me because I was like, yeah, do you know what? It's not an accident, and I think. For all of us, it's different. It's about finding the routine that works. And for me personally, I reflect back on a number of challenges that I've faced, the resilience that I've built up. The thing that really led me to learn so much about this field was 8 years in safeguarding. So I was working in the NHS. I'd worked in education prior. I'd done 4 years as a sports lecturer, working with tons of young people and not having the support that I needed. I couldn't find ways to make that work and stay healthy. So I moved into a different field. Actually, with the right support, I probably could have stayed there. That wasn't my path. I wasn't meant to be doing it, and I'm absolutely happy with that. But I think having that experience and then going into the NHS really led me to seek those skills. And I was reflecting yesterday on what are some of the things that got me to this point. And the different things that people have talked about today, suicide, bereavement, all of those things that happen when you work in safeguarding. I worked in safeguarding children. We would get calls, we would get emails whenever that happened. And
After the event, right? Too late.
After the event.
Yeah.
And for me, I was training on child sexual exploitation. I was training on domestic abuse.
Wow.
And I had limited understanding of that as a teacher, as a lecturer. And I was fascinated by safeguarding and the impact that I thought I could have when I moved across into the NHS. To then, I was training people to support them in having the right skills to spot those things, to act in the right way, to have that real community support that's needed in those moments. And I think some really defining things happened when I was in that space. And I think it's probably a great opportunity to share, and I won't share who it relates to, but something that I thought of yesterday was there was a young person I was shadowing a health professional going into schools to learn about the role, so I understood more of what life was like for them, and met this incredible young person who was really struggling, was being bullied, was having a really tough time with everything. And I remember maybe a month and a half later, someone started talking about suicide and the name rang a bell, and I literally Googled it. Newspaper came up. It was the young person. It was the young person I'd sat in front of.
Oh, no.
And it just there've been several moments in my life when you just everything drops.
Yeah.
And I was in that space going, how could I let that happen? How could I not spot that? How could I not have done more? And this was quite early into my safeguarding career. I was maybe a year and a half in, and I started having supervision and support at that point because I realised I would immerse myself in child sexual exploitation. It was when the Rotherham cases were really in the media, and so I would read every report on sexual exploitation. I would read everything I could get my hands on around domestic abuse. And that's so heavy.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I feeling angry and frustrated and fed up at life? And I was like, well, you're living in this really dark world and you're not seeing the lightness.
Yeah.
And so having experiences like that led me to find a way to make sense of the world and how things happen and how we can take the challenges and the things that are really hard and we can't make sense of, and not only make sense of it, but to use that to drive us forwards.
Absolutely.
And another situation that I think of was just a beautiful human from school. Just, he was the most incredible person. And I remember him most at like between 2 and 4 a.m. when we would go out clubbing and he would be there and he was just like this ray of sunshine, and he'd supported me in getting PT work when I worked in fitness. And I remember a friend ringing to say that he died by suicide, and I found myself in a suicide conference like 3 days later, and I hadn't twigged. It was when I was sat there on my own, not with any colleagues, on my own, that I went, oh my God, I didn't think about that and this and how I'm going to manage that today. And so you'd find, like, I'd go to the toilet and I'd cry my eyes out, and then I'd come back and be like, okay, right, how do I learn how to prevent this and have those conversations? And I think since that I've had open conversations with people about suicide when they're having suicidal thoughts, and being able to ask them the question, have you got a plan? How are you feeling in this moment? Because speaking to someone about that and me saying, this is a conversation I've had before, like, this is a safe space for you to have that skill set is just, it's incredible. And for me to say that I've had that chat at least twice in the last few years, everything that has come from what happened before has been incredible.
Yeah.
And the other really fundamental thing to kind of answer your question is, in that space when it was dark and it was heavy, I had to find things for my own resilience, because living in that world where it's all about abuse and neglect, and I added safeguarding adults into the safeguarding children work, I looked for things for me, and mentor after mentor after mentor would pop up in front of me, and I would train. And I was accidentally trained in hypnosis because I signed up for a weekend without knowing that was part of what I was doing, and just built up this skill set and this group of mentors. And I was someone that if someone said on paper, you know, how it'd be like, yeah, you know, things are really good, I haven't got that much baggage. And when I started using these techniques to unravel some of what was going on unconsciously and subconsciously, I was like, wow, the baggage, like the weight on my shoulders, that situation, the blame I put on myself with that young person having that experience. I didn't know the half of what was going on with them.
No.
And I'm very much a believer that we don't know what each other's path is. We don't know how long we're here having this experience for. And that's how I make my peace with it. That actually, if someone's meant to be here for 14 years or 40 years or 90 years, maybe that's the time we've got with them. And how can we celebrate that and enjoy that? And that's how I make my peace with it. We've had a suicide within the family, and his parents, like, beautiful young man called Jamie. His parents now fighting, doing so much work with Papyrus around suicide.
Wow.
And just what has come, I mean, it gives me absolute goosebumps. Just, he was such a phenomenal young man, just incredible. And for me to make sense of that, to go, we don't know what happens before and after. Maybe he's got other things he needed to do somewhere else. Whatever your belief system is around how the world works, maybe that he was so brilliant, maybe that was all the time that we were meant to have with him at that time. And I know that's not a view that necessarily everyone would share. That's how I made my peace with it, and I made sense of it. And also, I feel like that for me, that there's more than what we do understand, is just, that's a beautiful way for me to see things and make sense of it. And it rings true. And I feel like if it feels good, it's true. If we're sitting in a space where it doesn't feel good, we haven't got to the truth yet. So that's me kind of, it's interesting, because I said I was going to talk about my authentic truth.
It's very deep.
And I've kind of, this is my authentic truth. I've kind of discovered there are so many layers to me, and we can find a way for it to feel good with the right support and the right people and the right team, and being open and honest, and crying when we feel like crying, and hugging everybody, because that's so good for all of us.
There's plenty of hugs out there, isn't there? You felt on the way in, I'm no doubt.
So many.
Isn't there, like, so I'm so happy that's the start of this conversation, because I feel like we're in a place now. You know, obviously we go on this journey on, as you know, on Speak Up, and you know, we started this morning. It was very much around self-awareness. The first kind of 4 guests, there was a common thread of kind of self-awareness came through. and then what led off that was really like leading into kind of perspective and true understanding of your superpower, finding your superpowers within and things like that. And now I'm like massively obsessed with coaches, as you both know. I'm just fascinated by the skill set of a coach and how you've managed what you've articulated there is what coaches are brilliant at in generally, because you know how to do this to yourself, because you just get it, because you're trained to do it. You train really, really hard to do it. Like what you both understand and what you understand. Anyway, how you've described that. What can we learn from those experiences that you've had there? That we can, maybe as young people like Sam, who you heard earlier, aspiring coaches. We need more 22-year-old coaches in the world, by the way.
Yeah.
We need more 21-year-old youth coaches, youth workers that can be coaches. Yeah. Everyone needs the coaching in them. What can we learn from coaching, and your perspective on being in all of those other areas that you've worked? How does that bring it all together? How does coaching work with that? Sorry, that was a really long way to ask a question. There's a few. And there's a little bit of drama in between. Sorry.
And then I think there's a few questions in that. I love that. I mean, I feel like coaching found me from that early supervision and people coaching me to me then learning all of these skills and going, hang on a minute, coaching and mentoring allows me to use hypnosis, it allows me to use pure coaching, it allows me to use mindfulness, it allows me to use all of those other skills. And I think, I remember a mental health nurse in sexual exploitation, just incredible understanding. He was working in and around Greater Manchester at the time when so much was being talked about. I don't want to say uncovered, because it was known about for a lot longer before it all came forwards. And he said, and I remember really clearly him saying this on a training day, that what makes the difference so often is a consistent, enduring relationship.
Yeah.
So whether it is a coach, whether it is a mentor, whether it's a friend, whether it's someone that you talk to on a bench when you're both there in the right moment, I think conversations are important. I think relationships are important. Not thinking I can't make a difference because I'm not a coach and I'm not a mentor. I think conversations, relationships, being open, being honest, sharing, seeking that.
Yeah, I think again with mental talk meetings I run, we see regular attendees. So they will come on a regular basis. I've got guys who say they look forward to the meetings with that consistency there for them to talk, and they know when that's going to happen. So they prepare themselves to talk about what they're going through, which is really powerful if you think about it. They know that what's going to come up in a few days. They can go, actually, I need to get that mindset to go, that's what I need to share to the group. And I find that amazing. I never really thought about it until recently of the need to, like you said, to have that regular contact for people, just to be able to really be open.
I love that you said that, because I think that articulates that point really well. And holding space.
Yeah.
Holding space for people. And more than that, I think what coaching and mentoring does is it holds space for you as an individual. Because if we haven't got that built in, how often do we once a week or once a month go, okay, this is Nicola hour or Luke hour or Alex hour, and it's all about me. Yeah. And what's the biggest thing going on right now, whether that's something that feels really dark or whether that's something that feels really exciting, whether we're trying to make sense of everything that's going on in our mind at the time.
I think
it's really beautiful.
I think it's like what happened to your walk and talk for men. It's like you have your 2 walking meetings a month, Sunday, but if those guys just take a step back and go, actually, I want to walk a bit regularly, they go out
on every day in that moment.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
It's every day this week.
We've had a few pop in throughout the day, actually.
They'll be up tonight.
That's what I mean. They go out on their own accord. They go together and walk, which is just incredible. Yeah. Because they think that actually those 2 meetings aren't enough. They'll go out on their own. I just think, again, I think it's
but is that not the natural expansion of an enduring relationship, that it turns into community? So that relationship, so that's how Shifty started. It
Sounds
started,
yeah.
a few of us around a curry table. In fact, one of those I remember very well with Danny Bridge.
I do remember that.
So
She got free coaching that night.
she got a lot of coaching. And we had this kind of, that's the beauty of diversity, and that's why these conversations are special on Speak Up, because having those different voices in the room, those different perspectives, those different frame of references, different toolboxes and skill sets enables a safe space.
Yeah.
And what you're describing there is community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also what Nicola's describing is the importance of not giving up on people.
Yeah.
Right, that enduring relationship. So if
Yes.
someone's going through a tough time, one of the big challenges I've always found in the past is when someone's going through a bad time, they're not in a good place, and spending time with someone who's not in a good place is not easy.
No, it's not.
Because as you learned from the work that you did, it can start your environment. I heard you say this earlier, Alex, in an interview with one of your guests, that the environment is so important to dictate your performance.
Yep.
So if you spend time with people who are in a bad place, you have to be the right kind of person. You have to bring the right kind of energy to allow you to do it, and to give them some support so that they can be who they want to be. They don't have to mask it and pretend
There's a
everything's
lot
okay.
in that, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a big commitment.
Yeah, but
It's a huge commitment.
It's a massive commitment.
Huge commitment.
But also, again, I've had guys who want to, do a branch of Fermented Talk on their own, and I've had to say to a couple of them, no, you are not ready unless you're in that right mindset. Say if you're struggling right now and you wanted to talk to that person, they might not be ready in their own mindset of the journey they're going through to be able to give that kind of advice.
Yeah.
But it's about consistency as well. So it's knowing that a person struggling, they may not be ready to talk about what they're going through next week. But if they know when all these meetings are, they'll go, actually, I won't go this week. I don't feel 100% for it. But because I know it's going to be next week, I'll go then. And that's when I might feel ready to talk.
Yeah.
But very quickly, about you mentioned about acceptance as well earlier. Acceptance is death sometimes. It's I think it depends on how you lose your loved one. So for me, I lost both my mum and sister. Mum was 54, my sister was 44, both of cancer. It took me a long while to accept they went. And when they eventually got that acceptance, I know that I will never be truly happy. How happy I am, I'm content. That's the word we talked about earlier. I'm content. I'm in 2 jobs I really love. I've got a lovely wife and 3 amazing children. I'm content, but I know I will never be truly happy because my mum and sister aren't here. I feel like they were taken too early. But I am still happy and content of 90% of my life, 97% of my life, So that's always going to be that 3%. But I've got that acceptance now, they're never going to come back. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think something that I feel like I really want to share in this moment is the things that I found the hardest when I've been in my kind of darkest spaces with different things that have happened in my life. When I've sat there and gone, that's not okay. That's when I haven't had anywhere to go. When I was dealing with something at work and I could not find that space of acceptance, when I couldn't move forwards with it, I didn't have anywhere to go. And that was really, really hard. And that's where I would say for me, finding ways to explore things more deeply, to have that time and space to acknowledge all of the things that we're feeling, because it's everything that we're feeling in that moment. It's about recognizing that and acknowledging that, and as you're saying, meeting people where they are in that moment, whether it's the walk where they're saying nothing or whether it's the walk a year later when they open up.
Absolutely.
And so I think what I've learned from that is how to find a way to make our peace with it, whether that is, as you say, you make peace at that point, and what that looks like a day after something happens is different to 2 months after, is different to 5 months after. And sometimes that dark space can drive really incredible things that come from it, and what we develop and what we need. Because I think often we develop things we need for ourselves. The career that I'm in now was the thing that I didn't know I needed at the point when I couldn't feel the baggage on my own shoulders.
But again, it's not just about death though, is it? It's about any kind of like a relationship breakdown. It could be losing your job unexpected, things you care about that you lose. A pet. We talked about earlier about losing our dogs. That's what I mean. It's just things like that. It's just
trauma,
dealing
isn't
with
it? It's
Trauma.
Absolutely.
Dealing with trauma,
And we all have aspects of trauma at different points in our life.
Absolutely do, yeah.
And finding ways as a community, as individuals, to deal with that and work through that and hold space for each other as we do as we do that is important. And I think just to finish answering your question, Alex, is it's come across a bit today around some of the issues with systems and support and timescales. I am lucky enough to be part of this huge network of people who offer things outside of those known networks. So maybe seeking some of the support outside those known systems.
That's the role I have in the
amazing.
NHS now. So my role is, as soon as we get a referral from a GP, from the police, I will look for those people outside the NHS, outside all those structures. So it could be South, could be for mental, it could be a Domino's Club, a library, just for people to go to those places to improve their mental health. And I think that's vital.
Social prescribing.
Social prescribing,
Yeah, so it's that bigger, wider network, knowing that if someone's listening to this and they are waiting for help and support, what else is out there?
Absolutely.
You know, walking, talking, is it that friendship?
Or if
is
you
it
know
reaching
someone in your
out?
network that's waiting for help.
And reaching
what
out
can you
to
find
them.
for them?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What message would you'll be back next year, because you always are, what message would you leave Nicola a year from now?
Oh, good question, Alex.
I'm getting better, I'm waking up now.
You're waking up now.
It's all that running around with the butt.
The thing that comes up for me, and something I'm doing this year more and more, is like trusting that intuition. It's like, I'm really proud of you. Like having that sense of love for ourselves.
I've
because
done
I know
that all last year.
if I'm here this time next year, like, wow, some really cool stuff has happened.
I'm in a better mindset than I've ever been before because of that reason. The last year, I've said that to myself.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're proud of you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Incredible
you.
stuff.
And right back at you. It's
Appreciate
such
it.
a privilege to be here and have these conversations, because it's so important, and knowing that there is hope and there is light even in those darkest moments, and sit with someone who sees the light. I think that's one, as a coach and a mentor, one of my roles is when I sit with someone and you tell me what your dreams are, I can see you achieving all of them and more when you literally can't, you know what that vision is, you can't see it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a really important role for people doing that, not just coaches and mentors,
Right.
for all of
All
us.
of
And I
us.
know all of you
Community.
literally in this room do that.
Yeah.
So holding that vision for others is just, it's magic.
I love that. Be with people who see the light.
Yeah.
Be with
Remember that.
people who see the light. That's so
beautiful.
important,
That's
because
beautiful.
it lifts the way, it lifts your spirits, it lifts your positivity, it just makes you feel more
We talk
connected.
about that a lot, don't we?
We
When we
do
get
talk,
together,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
We had
That's a
that,
great way
didn't
to,
we?
that summarised it so well.
Yeah.
Be with people who see the light.
Yeah.
What a great way to
And if
put
it doesn't feel good, it's not true. You haven't found your truth. Look for a way to understand the world where you see the light.
Yeah.
If you're not fully seeing that yet, if you're not feeling all of the happiness that you could feel, look for how you can find it, because there are people out there.
I'm curious.
And everyone listening, like, their light is in there, and there are people around you that see it.
I hope
And
you
we
hear
see
that.
it.
Sally put a lovely comment on there saying, I love how you explain and share your journey, Nicola. Your work is so important.
Absolutely.
Aw.
And we have to
Yeah,
agree with
Thank
that.
you,
yeah,
Sally.
lovely. Yeah,
It's a
really
beautiful
nice.
thing to say. Dale,
Thanks, Sally. Yeah.
this is why I joined the mastermind in the past, to be around like-minded people. Dale
Love it.
Bennett.
Amazing.
Yeah, me
He
too.
loves the mastermind. Dale.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves it.
Yeah, me
Well,
too.
bless you.
Yeah,
thank you
thank you
so
very
much.
much. It's
Sorry
amazing.
for the drama, but no one panicked. We just
Mental
we just got
fitness.
it happen, didn't
I
we?
knew you'd fix it.
Yeah. And sleep deprived fixing. Like, amazing.
I told you all those years
Amazing.
tech support. Right, we got to get a
Quick
selfie with
selfie.
Nicola before you go.
Sign.
And you got to sign our T-shirt, because
Amazing.
everyone's signing the T-shirt. All the guests from this year are signing that.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to frame it. So we have a wall of fame for the rest of Speak Up's history. which
Right,
would be
yeah,
amazing.
Rachel, we'll be literally about 90 seconds.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Rachel. We had all sorts of technical drama and blah. You understand. You understand. We'll be with you in 2 or 3 minutes, and please stay tuned, because I think I feel privileged that Rachel would come and talk to us about what she's going to come talk to us about. Whilst you wait for us, will be 2 to 3 minutes max. What do? We like, we comment, we tag someone who needs to hear these conversations. We share this across our networks. Now, someone that can help me actually, on LinkedIn, it only streams for 4 hours from the start of the stream. So I have to put the YouTube link on there. If someone would do me a favour, go to Shifties on YouTube, pick up that link and drop it on your LinkedIn profile. That will help me massively, because we won't be live again on LinkedIn until 4 o'clock. Bless you all.
And
Thank
donate
you.
if you haven't
Oh,
yet
and
already.
donate,
I
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
will
of course,
be.
yeah.
It'll make a difference.
Please do donate.
Thank you.
Right, see you in a moment. Thank you.